I was flipping through a 3-year-old magazine in Dr. Harrison's waiting room when my cell phone buzzed against the hard plastic armrest. The waiting room was its usual self, fluorescent lights humming overhead, a fish tank bubbling with orange fish that never seemed to grow, and the faint smell of antiseptic that always made me a little queasy. The caller ID read my angel. I smiled and answered. "Hi, sweetheart, I'm at the doctor's." "Mom," her voice cut through mine like a blade. Not warm, not concerned, just flat and businesslike. "I'm not going to drag this out. Derek and I are leaving for Switzerland tonight. He got the transfer he's been wanting. I sold your lake house yesterday and your SUV this morning. We needed the liquid cash for our moving expenses and the apartment over there. It's non-refundable. Bye." Click. I sat there with the phone pressed to my ear, listening to nothing. The fish tank bubbled. A woman 2 seats over coughed into her elbow. Somewhere a child whined about wanting to go home. 47 years. That's how long I'd been Patricia Holloway's mother. 47 years of midnight feedings and school plays and prom dress shopping. 47 years of saving for her college tuition, of co-signing her first apartment lease, of biting my tongue when she married Derek even though I saw the red flags waving like banners. 47 years of love, of sacrifice, of thinking she was the best thing I'd ever done with my life. And she dismissed me in less than 20 seconds. The lake house. My God. Charles and I bought that little A-frame when Patricia was 12. It wasn't fancy, just a 2-bedroom cabin on Lake Michigan with a creaky dock and a fireplace that smoked if you didn't open the flue just right. But it was ours. Every summer we'd go up there, and Charles would teach Patricia to fish while I made potato salad in the too small kitchen. After he passed, that cabin became my sanctuary, the place where I could still feel him, still hear his laugh echoing off the water. And the SUV? That was Charles's baby. A 2018 Ford Explorer he'd bobbied like it was made of gold. He washed it every Saturday without fail, kept a detailed log of every oil change, every tire rotation, every single maintenance visit. After he died, I'd sit in that driver's seat sometimes just to breathe in the faint smell of his coffee breath and the leather conditioner he used. It was the last physical piece of him I had left. Gone, both of them. Sold by my own daughter so she could follow a man who'd cheated on her twice that I knew about. But here's the thing about grief. It does strange things to you. For 6 months after Charles died, I'd been a mess. Crying in the grocery store aisle because they stopped carrying his favorite cereal. Sleeping on his side of the bed because mine felt too empty. Letting Patricia handle the funeral arrangements, the bank accounts, the paperwork, because I couldn't bear to look at his signature on anything without falling apart. I'd signed whatever she put in front of me. Power of attorney, she'd said. Just to make things easier while you're grieving, Mom. I'll handle the bills, the insurance, all that messy stuff. I signed. Of course I signed. She was my daughter, I trusted her. But before we continue, I want to extend a very specially invitation to you subscribe the channel and leave a like. This helps me see that you support me and enjoy my stories, and comment down below which city you are watching us from right now. Let's continue. But sitting in that waiting room, listening to the dial tone where her voice used to be, something shifted inside me. The fog lifted just a little, and I remembered. Charles, 3 weeks before his heart gave out. We were sitting on the back porch, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink, when he pulled a thick manila envelope from his jacket. "Evelyn," he said, "that's my name, Evelyn Hart. I need you to put this in the bottom of your hope chest, the one with the quilt your grandmother made." "What is it?" He smiled that slow, knowing smile of his. "Insurance, not the kind the insurance agent sells you, the real kind." He patted my knee. "If something happens to me, don't open it right away. Wait until you're ready, until you need to remember who you really are." I'd laughed and tucked it away, more touched by his thoughtfulness than curious about the contents. Charles was always planning ahead, always thinking of contingencies. It was one of the things I loved about him. The nurse called my name. Dr. Harrison gave me a clean bill of health, blood pressure a little high, but nothing to worry about for a woman my age. I nodded, smiled, thanked him, and drove home in the borrowed car Patricia had left me after she borrowed mine for an oil change she never did. The house was quiet when I got home. Too quiet. I walked past Patricia's senior photos on the wall, past the wedding portrait where she and Derek smiled like they actually liked each other, past the empty spot where Charles's favorite recliner used to be before Patricia suggested we donate it to charity. I went straight to the bedroom, pulled back the quilt, opened the hope chest. The envelope was right where I'd left it, my name written across the front in Charles's careful handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it, expecting maybe a letter, maybe some old photographs, maybe a savings bond or two. What I found changed everything. There were documents, lots of them, deeds, certificates, bank statements, and a handwritten letter on top. I unfolded the letter first, needing to see his words before I could face the numbers. My dearest Evelyn, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry I couldn't say goodbye properly, but you know me, I never was good at emotional moments. Here's what you need to know. I wasn't just a mail carrier for 35 years. I was an investor, a quiet one. Every penny we saved, every bonus I ever got, every inheritance your uncle left me, I put it to work. Not in anything flashy, just steady, boring investments that added up over time. We don't just own this house, Ev. We own the duplex on Maple Street. We own the 4-unit building on 3rd Avenue. We own the commercial space where the bakery is downtown. We own the storage facility out by the highway. And we own the apartment complex where Patricia and Derek live, all 20 units of it. I put everything in a trust years ago. The trust owns a holding company. The holding company owns the properties. And you, my love, are the sole beneficiary and trustee. Our daughter doesn't know. I never told her because I wanted to see how she'd treat us without money involved. I'm not saying she'd be different if she knew, but I wanted to be sure. You're a wealthy woman, Evelyn. Not millionaire wealthy, but comfortable. Very comfortable. The properties generate about $45,000 a month in rental income. The investments throw off another $15,000 or so. You've got more in liquid assets than you'll ever need. But here's the important part. Don't tell Patricia right away. Let her show you who she really is first. And if she disappoints you, well, this letter gives you everything you need to handle it however you see fit. I love you, Ev. I always will. Be happy. Charles. I read the letter 3 times. Then I spread the documents across the bed and tried to make sense of them. Deeds, like he said. Bank statements from accounts I'd never seen. A trust agreement with my name in all caps. And a separate sheet listing properties I'd driven past 1,000 times without knowing they were ours. The duplex on Maple Street, the one with the yellow roses in the front yard. Ours. The fourplex on 3rd Avenue, where my friend Mildred lived in 2B ours. The bakery downtown, I bought my morning coffee there every Tuesday. The rent I paid, it went to us, to me. And the apartment complex where Patricia lived, all those young families, all those rent checks. Mine. I sat on the edge of the bed and laughed. Then I cried. Then I laughed again. Charles, my quiet, steady Charles, had been building an empire while I thought we were just getting by on his postal pension and my part-time bookkeeping. He'd done it silently, patiently, for decades. And Patricia had sold our lake house for what she thought was quick cash. The lake house that wasn't even legally hers to sell. I picked up my phone and dialed the only number I could think of. Hello, the voice on the other end was gruff, familiar. Martin, it's Evelyn Hart, Charles's wife. Evelyn, how are you holding up, honey? Martin Chen had been Charles's best friend for 40 years. He was also a retired real estate attorney. I need your help, Martin, and I need you to keep it quiet. Anything for Charles's girl. What's going on? I told him everything, the call from Patricia, the sold lake house, the sold SUV, and Charles's envelope. There was a long silence on the other end. Then Martin let out a low whistle. Evelyn, do you have any idea what you're sitting on? Charles's letter said comfortable, not millionaire. Evelyn, honey, Charles was always modest. Let me pull up some numbers. I heard keyboard clicks in the background. That apartment complex alone, the one Patricia lives in, it's worth about $2.4 million. The commercial space downtown sold an appraisal last year for $800,000. The storage facility, I know that one. Charles bought it in 2010 for next to nothing. It's probably pushing $1 million now. Evelyn, you're looking at somewhere between $4 and $5 million in real estate alone, plus the investments. I gripped the phone tighter. Martin, she sold the lake house, our lake house. I figured, give me the details. Who handled the sale? What title company? I'll make some calls. That sale was fraudulent if you didn't sign off on it personally, and with you being of sound mind, which Dr. Harrison can verify from today's visit, she had no legal standing to sell anything without your explicit permission. Power of attorney doesn't cover gifting yourself assets. That's what I was hoping you'd say. Evelyn, what do you want to do? I can have the sale voided by end of week. The buyers will get their money back, they're innocent in this. But Patricia, she committed fraud. We can press charges. I thought about it. My daughter handcuffed. My daughter with a criminal record. My daughter who I'd rocked to sleep and kissed scraped knees and watched graduate college. Not yet, I said slowly. She's flying to Switzerland tonight. Let her go. Let her think she got away with it. Evelyn. Martin, she needs to learn, and she can't learn if I rescue her right away. Let her get to Switzerland. Let her realize Derek's transfer might not be what he claimed. Let her sit with the consequences of her choices. I'll be here when she's ready. Another long pause. You're tougher than you look, Evelyn Hart. I'm learning. The first week was strange. I woke up every morning in the house Charles and I had shared for 40 years, made my coffee in the same pot, sat in the same chair, watched the same birds at the same feeder. But everything felt different. I was a secret millionaire living like a woman on a fixed income. I went to the grocery store with my coupons. I clipped recipes from the newspaper. I told Mildred I was managing okay when she asked how I was getting by. And I watched. Martin handled the legal side quietly. The lake house sale was voided. The buyers got their money back with a small bonus for their trouble, and the title was back in my name within 10 days. The SUV? That took longer because it had been sold to a dealership and resold twice, but Martin tracked it down. A young couple in Grand Rapids had it now. He made them an offer they couldn't refuse, full market value plus $5,000 for their trouble, and they agreed to sell it back. It would take a few weeks to complete, but the truck was coming home. Meanwhile, I started learning. Martin set me up with a financial advisor named Jennifer who specialized in suddenly wealthy widows, as she put it. We met at her office, away from prying eyes. Mrs. Hart, you're in an enviable position, Jennifer said, spreading my newly consolidated statements across her desk. Your husband structured everything beautifully. The trust is ironclad. The properties are all in good condition with reliable tenants. You have no debt. You have 6 months of operating expenses in liquid cash, and you have options. What kind of options? Well, you could sell everything and live on the proceeds comfortably for the rest of your life. You could keep everything and live on the rental income. You could sell some, keep others. You could even move into that apartment complex and manage it yourself if you wanted, though I wouldn't recommend it. She smiled. The point is, you're in control now. Not Patricia, not Derek, you. I liked Jennifer. She reminded me of myself 40 years ago, sharp, capable, unafraid of numbers. Let's keep everything as is for now, I decided. I'm not ready to make big changes. Smart, and your daughter. I'm waiting. Waiting turned out to be harder than I expected. The second week, my phone stayed silent. No calls from Switzerland, no texts, no emails. Patricia had truly cut me off. I filled my days with small things. I joined a water aerobics class at the community center. I started volunteering at the library on Tuesdays. I had Mildred over for bridge every Thursday, just like always. To the outside world, I was Evelyn Hart, nice widow, getting by. But at night, I sat on the back porch with Charles's letter and thought. The third week, Martin called with news. Evelyn, you sitting down? I'm always sitting down these days. What's going on? I've been keeping an ear out like you asked. Derek's transfer to Switzerland. It wasn't a transfer. He got fired from his job 3 months ago. The Switzerland thing was a pipe dream. He'd been talking about moving there for years, telling everyone he had connections, but there's no job, no apartment, no nothing. I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. And Patricia. She's there, they're both there. But from what I can gather through some mutual acquaintances, things aren't going well. Derek's been distant. Patricia's been crying a lot. They're staying in a hostel, not the nice apartment she told you about. I closed my eyes. Despite everything, my heart ached for her. What do you want me to do? Keep watching, keep listening. I'm not ready to step in yet. Evelyn, she's your daughter. She made a terrible mistake, but she's still. I know, Martin, I know. But she needs to hit bottom. She needs to understand what she did, not just to me, but to herself. The fourth week brought more news, and this time it was worse. Derek was gone. He'd met someone else, a German woman he'd been talking to online for months, apparently. When Patricia confronted him, he laughed and told her their marriage had been a convenience, and he was done pretending. He emptied their joint account, the one with the money from the lake house and the SUV, and disappeared. Patricia was alone in Switzerland. No job, no money, no return ticket, no one to call except. The phone rang at 3 a.m. I fumbled for it in the dark, heart pounding. Hello. Mom. The voice was small, broken, barely recognizable. Mom, it's me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. I don't have anyone else. I didn't rush to rescue her. That was the hardest part. I listened while she cried, while she explained between sobs what Derek had done, while she admitted she'd been a fool and a terrible daughter, and she understood if I never wanted to speak to her again. When she finally ran out of words, I said 3 things. I'm your mother. That doesn't change. I'll wire you money for a flight home. We'll talk when you get here. I sent her $800, enough for a one-way ticket and nothing more. Not the $45,000 I could have transferred without blinking. Not even enough for a hotel room if she missed her connection. She needed to come home uncomfortable. She needed to remember what it felt like to not have a safety net. She arrived on a Tuesday, 6 weeks after she'd left. I picked her up at the airport in my old sedan, the one she'd left me after taking my SUV. She looked terrible. Thin, pale, with dark circles under her eyes and clothes that smelled like they hadn't been washed in days. Mom. She stood at the curb, one small suitcase at her feet, looking nothing like the confident woman who'd called me from a doctor's waiting room. Get in, sweetheart, let's go home. She cried the whole drive, apologized over and over, told me about Derek's cruelty, about the hostel with bedbugs, about running out of money and eating bread for 3 days. About the moment she realized she'd thrown away everything for a man who never loved her. I let her talk. I patted her hand. I said I'm sorry that happened and you're safe now. I didn't mention the trust. Not yet. The first week home, Patricia was a ghost. She slept 12 hours a night, barely ate, jumped at every unexpected sound. She found a part-time job at a coffee shop, the one downtown that paid rent to my holding company, though she didn't know it. She worked the early shift, came home exhausted, and spent her evenings curled up on the couch watching TV. I watched her. I waited. The second week, she started talking. Real talking, not just apologies. Mom, I've been thinking about what I did, really thinking, and I don't understand how I became that person. What person? The one who could treat her own mother like that. The one who could sell your things without asking. The one who could hang up on you like you were a telemarketer. She shook her head. Dad would be so ashamed of me. Your dad loved you more than anything. I know. That's what makes it worse. He loved me, and I became someone he wouldn't recognize. I let the silence stretch. Then I said, people change. Sometimes for worse, sometimes for better. The question is, which direction are you going now? She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. I want to be better. I want to earn back your trust, even if it takes the rest of my life. I want to be someone Dad would be proud of. That's a good start. The third week, she asked about the lake house. Mom, I've been thinking about what I did. Selling your place, your car. I know I can't undo it, but I want to try. I've been saving from my coffee shop job. It's not much, but maybe in a year or two I could help you find another cabin somewhere. Something small. Something you could afford. I almost told her then. The words were right there. Honey, I own 5 buildings. I could buy 100 cabins. But something held me back. Let's focus on you getting stable first. We can worry about cabins later. She nodded, accepting my response as the deflection it was. She had no idea. Martin called me the 4th week after Patricia came home. Evelyn, I've got everything finalized. The trust is fully under your control. The SUV is back in your name. It's parked at my office. Keys are ready whenever you want them. The lake house is yours. And I've got a letter from Charles I found in the safe deposit box. He left instructions that you should have it when you were ready. I'm ready. I met Martin at his office the next morning. The SUV was in the parking lot, freshly detailed, looking exactly as it had when Charles drove it last. I ran my hand over the hood and felt tears prick my eyes. Inside, Martin handed me an envelope. This was in a separate box. Charles was very specific. Only open it when you've made a decision about Patricia. I opened it right there. Evelyn, if you're reading this, you know everything. You know what we have, what I built, what I left you, and you've made a decision about our daughter. I trust your judgment. You've always been the wise one, the patient one, the one who sees people clearly. Here's my only advice. Don't let money be the thing that defines your relationship with Patricia. Let her earn her way back if that's what she needs. Let her prove who she is. And when the time is right, when you're sure, bring her into the fold. But Evelyn, make her wait. Make her work for it. The Patricia who abandoned you doesn't deserve to benefit from what we built. But the Patricia who finds her way home, the one who learns humility and gratitude, she might. I love you both, always. Charles. I folded the letter carefully and put it in my purse. Martin, I need one more thing. Name it. I need a meeting here in your office with Patricia next week, and I need you to show her everything. Martin raised an eyebrow. Everything. Everything. The trust, the properties, the investments, the whole picture. And if she reacts badly, then I'll know. I stood up, feeling stronger than I had in months. But I don't think she will. I think she's ready. The meeting was set for the following Friday at 10 a.m. I told Patricia I had something important to show her, something about Dad. She agreed immediately, though I could see the worry in her eyes. That week, she worked her coffee shop shifts, came home tired, helped me with dinner without being asked. She'd started doing little things, making my coffee in the morning, picking up my favorite bread from the bakery without me mentioning it, sitting with me on the porch in the evenings just to talk. We talked about Charles a lot, about their fishing trips, about the time she crashed his car into a mailbox, about how he'd dance with her in the kitchen when she was little. Good memories, healing memories. Friday morning, we drove to Martin's office together. Patricia was nervous, fidgeting with her purse strap. Mom, what's this about? Is something wrong? Nothing's wrong, sweetheart, just wait. Martin greeted us warmly and led us to his conference room. On the table were documents, lots of documents, the same ones I'd found in Charles's envelope months ago. Please sit down, Martin gestured to the chairs. Patricia, your mother has asked me to share some information with you, information your father left behind. Patricia looked at me, confused, then at the papers. Martin spent the next hour walking through everything. The trust, the properties, the rental income, the investments, the total value. He explained how Charles had built it all silently, how everything was in my name now, how the lake house had been recovered, how the SUV was back in my possession. Patricia's face went through a journey. Confusion, disbelief, shock. And then, this was the moment I'd been waiting for, something that looked like understanding. When Martin finished, she turned to me. Mom, all this time, you knew. Since the day you called me from the doctor's office, I found Dad's letter that night. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, softly, you could have stopped me. You could have fixed everything right away, but you didn't. No, I didn't. Why? Because you needed to learn something that I couldn't teach you, something only life could teach you. Patricia looked down at her hands, the same hands that had signed the papers to sell my lake house, that had packed her bags for Switzerland, that now wiped counters at a coffee shop for minimum wage. I was so horrible to you, she whispered. I treated you like you were nothing, and all this time you had everything. You could have thrown it in my face, you could have pressed charges, you could have. She stopped, voice breaking. You could have done what I deserved. Maybe. I reached across the table and took her hand. But I'm your mother, Patricia. That means my job isn't to punish you. It's to help you become the person you're meant to be, and you couldn't become that person without hitting bottom first. She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But here's the thing about love. It's not about deserving. It's about choosing. And I choose you. I always have. I always will. We sat there for a long time, mother and daughter, holding hands across a conference table covered in papers that represented a fortune. And for the first time in months, I felt like our family might actually be okay. That was 6 months ago. Patricia still works at the coffee shop. She insisted on keeping the job, even after I offered to help her financially. I need to earn my own way for a while, she said. I need to remember what money means. But she's also learning the property business. Martin's been teaching her the ropes, how to manage tenants, how to handle maintenance requests, how to read a profit and loss statement. She's good at it. Turns out she has Charles's head for numbers after all. The lake house is ours again. Patricia and I spent last weekend there, just the two of us. We cleaned out the cobwebs, aired out the musty smell, and sat on the dock watching the sunset. She told me about Switzerland, the whole story this time, not just the highlights. The lies Derek told. The moment she realized he'd emptied their account. The night she spent in the Zurich train station because she had nowhere else to go. I thought about calling you 100 times, she admitted. But I was too ashamed, too proud. I kept thinking I could fix it myself, that I didn't need to admit how wrong I'd been. What finally made you call? Hunger mostly. She laughed, but it was a sad laugh. And loneliness. And the realization that pride is just another word for stupidity when you're sleeping on a bench. I put my arm around her. You called, that's what matters. She leaned into me. Mom, I know I can't undo what I did. I know it'll take years to earn back your trust completely. But I'm going to try. Every day, I'm going to try. I know you will, sweetheart. We watched the sun sink below the water, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, just like Charles and I used to do. Derek's still out there somewhere. Martin's lawyers found him eventually. He's in Germany working construction, already in debt again. Patricia filed for divorce and he didn't contest it. She doesn't want anything from him except to never see him again. I can't blame her. The apartment complex still stands. Patricia moved out of my house last month, not back to the complex, but into a small rental of her own. I need to be independent, she said. I need to know I can take care of myself. I respect that. We have dinner together every Sunday. Sometimes at my place, sometimes at hers. She's learning to cook, really cook, not just heat things up. Last week she made Charles's famous lasagna recipe, and she got it almost right. He would have been proud. As for me, I'm still Evelyn Hart, widow of Charles, mother of Patricia. I still go to water aerobics on Tuesdays. I still have Mildred over for bridge on Thursdays. I still clip coupons and shop sales, even though I don't need to. But now, when I sit on my back porch in the evenings, I don't feel alone anymore. I feel Charles beside me, his presence in every sunset, every memory, every document he left behind. He built all of this, not just the money, but the lessons, the chance for our daughter to find her way back. I finally wrote him a letter last week, just a short one, folded and placed in his hope chest with the others. Dear Charles, you were right about everything, about waiting, about letting her learn, about trusting me to know when the time was right. She's okay now. She's going to be okay. We both are. Thank you for taking care of us, even from wherever you are. I love you. I always will. Evelyn. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd opened that envelope right after Charles died. If I'd known about the money, about the properties, about everything. Would I have handled things differently? Would I have seen Patricia's betrayal coming? Maybe, maybe not. But I do know this. The call from the doctor's waiting room, painful as it was, gave me something precious. It showed me who my daughter was, and more importantly, it gave her the chance to become someone better. That's not something money can buy. That's something only love can build.